Hello and welcome to Living Heritage, a show about people who are engaged in the heritage and culture sector, all those who keep heritage alive at the community level. I'm Tara Barrett, and today's guest is Kelly Jones. Kelly Jones has worked in the world of retail for the past 30 years as a sales associate, manager, merchandiser, and owner. Currently, she's on contract for the Room's gift shop as buyer and product development officer. She's still involved in theater and film on a small scale, having been a professional stage manager for 10 years. Today on Living Heritage, we'll be talking about the business and retail side of running a successful museum gift shop. Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So just to start off, what was your introduction to retail work?
Oh my goodness. In university, I worked in a shop downtown that I can't remember the name of. I know it was next door to Living Rooms, and I worked there doing decorating for Christmas and just general sales and stuff like that. I don't even remember what we sold, but I remember decorating Christmas trees.
And so you started with the Room's gift shop when the building first opened, and then you took a break to run your own tea shop for several years before returning to the Rooms. So what did running your own shop teach you about sales and merchandise work?
Well, it's just a matter of trying to figure out what people want and what they're interested in. And the thing I really learned is that every shop that you work in is completely different. So anything that would have been popular at my store wouldn't probably have not sold in the bookstore I managed or in the Rooms specifically. So it's how we try and read people a bit better. And I'm still learning, so every day I learn something new about what I should be doing.
And so how do you read people, and how do you figure out what your customer base is?
Mostly by kind of getting a feel for what people are buying and what their average spending is when they're in the shop, and the things that they're asking for that maybe we don't have, or things that they're asking for that, or mentioning that they got somewhere else that they thought was a really good gift. And I also try to talk to people who travel a lot, and I have traveled a lot myself, and whenever somebody goes to a gift shop that's in the museum or an art gallery, I do say, so what caught your eye in that place? So that kind of makes a big difference.
And what are some of the challenges or opportunities that are specific to museum or gallery shops?
Some of the opportunities are that you get to produce product or to buy product based on the exhibits that are coming up, or on specific artifacts or artworks that are in the museum and the art gallery, which can also be challenging. So, like, sometimes an exhibit will open up and you're like, I have no idea what we can sell in the store that would tie in with this at all. And then you're kind of like thinking to yourself, okay, am I buying this just because of this exhibit? Will it actually sell? So it's a little challenging that way. Like, we had an exhibit that was potato portraits, and the only thing I could think of was seasonings for potatoes, and we didn't buy them because I just was not 100% sure that was the way to go. It totally made sense, but I didn't know if it would work.
And so how do you balance the theme of, I guess, the museum or rotating shows with what you sell in the shop?
That is a challenge, actually, because sometimes, because we are a tourist destination, but we're a local destination too. So you kind of have to be balanced in terms of having things that, tourists are going to want, like just, even knick-knacky things like a pencil with your name on it, that a local is not going to buy, but you want to have things that locals are going to come in to buy for, and you want them to think of this place you're working as a place to go buy a gift for somebody. Oh, it's so-and-so's birthday, I'm going to go to the Rooms. Because you want things that appeal to them as well as tourists. So it can't be just, it can't be all keychains and magnets. And it has to be a bit of other things as well.
And so how do you select products for the Rooms, and what do you look for?
There's a wide range of stuff. When I'm buying things, I try to think of things that can tie in to the exhibits or to the building or to the place. So like there's an anchor upstairs, so I try to I've bought some things that have anchors on them, which sell amazingly well, or like a propeller from a boat, or anything like that. And I'm trying to think. And then like with other products where we develop things, we try to make things that are coming up to exhibits that are about to happen. And then, sorry, there's just so much stuff. Just trying to decide things that will work, but that are also in a good price range. So we try to have a balance. That's another thing that when I'm picking things out, it's like you can get some things that are $5 or $500, but you need to know what, when I'm buying, I want to buy like one of the $500 item and many of the $5 item. So it's trying to figure out the pricing and if the quality of that product is going to work and how many we think we're going to sell. And sometimes you have no idea. Like stuff will come in and you think, okay, well, we'll sell a couple of these, and then you sell 40. So it's like, okay, so there's things that are constantly being reordered that you don't even know about, right? That when you're ordering. So it's interesting that way.
You mentioned place. Does place play a big role in what you I guess develop or buy for the room's gift shop?
Well, we try. I would like to have more things that are representative of this place that are made by local people. It's a challenge that way because I'm trying to be a little bit unique for the shop, and still, but I want to give more opportunities to the local craftspeople and artisans in terms of having things that reflect where we are. From anything from like a painting of the building and the city, to having something that when tourists come from away, because we always have people who have asked for maple syrup, so we don't sell maple syrup in store, but we have like a maple syrup seasoning mix that we just started this year, and it's been selling like crazy. But you have to remember that we're not just in St. John's, Newfoundland, as part of Newfoundland and Labrador, and then we're part of Canada, and we try to have a little bit of things for people who are like, oh, well, I'm in Canada, I need to get something with maple syrup in it. So we're trying to remember where we are in that basis, for sure. That's
interesting. I wouldn't have thought to look for maple syrup at the rooms, but now that I think about it, I've seen tourists at other places ask for maple
syrup
because they're in Canada.
Yep. Well, and especially with a lot of the cruise ships that come in, we do get a lot of tour buses up from the cruise ships when they arrive, and they're looking for something Canadian because they're in Canada. So when they're like, do you have any maple syrup? And it's like, no. So we started trying this product just a few weeks ago, and it's been selling really well. So who knows? It's always a challenge.
And so one of the products which you helped develop for the rooms was a replica of the figurehead from the sailing ship Thetis, which is in the rooms collection. Can you describe that project?
When I got there, we had thought it would be a nice idea to have an ornament that was from the rooms. And the Thetis is the figurehead. It's a sea goddess. And I thought she's kind of angelic looking in some ways. And so I thought she would make a nice ornament. So then I had to figure out what medium to put her in. So decided with pewter. Did approach a couple of local companies first, and they just felt that they didn't feel like they were ready to do that quite yet, to make something so simple. But they did suggest that we try seagull pewter in Nova Scotia. And I phoned them up, and they were like, yep, we can do it. And I'm like, okay, what do you need? And they said, send us some photographs. And I was like, okay. So one of the gentlemen that works with me, he went up with his camera and took pictures, and then I sent them to Seagull, and then they came back with a drawing, and then they did up a prototype, and we had to figure out about the packaging, about how to get a card in there that would say everything about the Thetis and the history of the ship, and the citation number and all that kind of stuff. And then we had to get that produced, and then we had to fold them all to put them into the boxes. So, because the company we were working with couldn't do that, so in the end, they sent us a prototype. It was great. The cards came; they were too big. We had to cut them all down, and then put the new cards in. So it was fun, and it took a while. Like, things to produce a product for a shop, just like, it's not something you can go, okay, well, I want to make this. Like, that took us about 4 months to get made. Like, to decide on it, and then once the decision was made, to get it made and produced and approved, and the design to come back, and then the ornament itself. So it took about 4 months for that to happen. We did a mug, and mugs take 6 to 8 months, or sometimes longer. So it's an interesting process. So you kind of have to be thinking ahead. It's like, okay, I'm going to get this product. When can I actually sell it? When's it actually going to be here? And how, and all that kind of stuff. And then you do have to do the timing of what look we want to have for that product and stuff like that.
And so, if a show's coming up at the Rooms, how far in advance would you have to consider, I guess, product development if you wanted to develop something for that show specifically?
As soon as I know about it, I start looking at stuff. Like, there's an exhibit opening in September. I had my first meeting for that last week, and really probably should have had a meeting a month before, but things have been very busy, and you have to meet with a lot of people to kind of get approvals for ideas and things like that. So, like, we did with Christopher Pratt. I met with him. I started looking to do stuff for him in July of last year, and the show opened just in May.
Wow.
Yep. And it depends on what product gets approved to be developed. Like, sometimes if they say, okay, we're only got 2 months to develop something, that shortens what you can produce. So you can produce a bookmark in a week, and a mug is a year.
Part of your work with product development involves making sure that you have the proper legal rights to use artists' work. So how does that work? That's another challenge. You have to, if it's with an artist or even with an artifact that somebody's donated, you have to get permissions from them. So, for example, we have a painting in our collection, A Lake in Labrador by A.Y. Jackson. His rights to his works he left to Carleton University Art Gallery. So I had to approach Carleton University Art Gallery and had to get approval from them to produce it. We also had, if it's an artist's work, you do have to pay Carfax fees, which generally are a portion of whatever your retail price is. And they generously gave us a little bit of a break on how much we had to pay them, which made a big difference in us deciding to do that project. Then we had to get approvals on the color correcting of the painting. So our graphics person went up, and this took weeks because he was trying to get it the exact right, as close as he could to the actual painting in terms of color, and it's hard to replicate brushstrokes and all that kind of stuff on something flat. So we had to get permissions from Carleton to go ahead with the color proofs that we had done. So we sent them the color proofs. They approved it. Then the manufacturer had to approve it. Then they developed a prototype mug, which came to me, which I showed to my department, and then I had to send it to Carleton. Carleton had to approve it, and then it had to go back to the manufacturer, and then once all the approvals were signed, then it goes off to get produced, and that took about 6 months to get just to get it made. So everything else was on top of that. So there are lots of legal things. We do have contracts with artists so that they know what we're producing, how much of it we're producing, what we're intending to sell for, and what their fees will be. So, and everybody's different. Like, sometimes you'll have an artist who wants you to do something and they want to waive their Carfax fee, or they'd rather have a portion per product that's developed. They want to be able to sell it themselves, those kinds of things. So it's
everybody's different, but we do a contract up, and then it's signed, and we don't do anything unless everybody's happy.
And you mentioned Carfax. So for anybody who doesn't know, what is a Carfax fee?
To be honest, I don't know what the whole thing stands for, but it is a fee for visual artists in particular, that if you are reproducing somebody else's work, you have to pay that person a percentage of your retail costs with their approval to use their work. And then I'm trying to think of what else. And that's basically it. And you're legally required to do that. I think I can't remember the whole thing, to be completely honest.
No worries. I just meant like just the general idea of what it was for anybody who wasn't sure.
It's to ensure that artists are paid for their work, right? I mean, it's the same with like having a fee for using songs and everything, and written word, and I think they are both included in that, so that people don't get to take advantage of people who are making these making their livelihood, their artworks, their passions, really, and then you're not some person who's just like, oh, well, I'm just going to take a copy of that picture and slap it on a card and make money off of it, because that's wrong on many levels.
Yes. So you've just worked on developing product for the Christopher Pratt exhibit,
yeah.
And what was that like? Could you describe that?
It was a lot of fun. We started talking about it in July and kind of getting ideas, and we met with Christopher, and he presented ideas of things that we could possibly do, and he liked some and didn't like others, so the ones he didn't like just went out the door. It's like, because you don't want it, it's not going to happen. And we had several meetings over several months, and we also had to get permissions from the owners of the paintings to reproduce the works. Technically, you don't have to do that, but it's a courtesy. And if someone doesn't want their painting reproduced, we wouldn't do it. So we've had people say no, thank you, and we said okay, no problem, because it's not why it's respectful for somebody who owns something that they paid a lot of money for. And just not worth the hassle of not going against somebody else. So we met with Christopher a bunch of times. Then we got products designed, and they had to be approved through different departments. And then the approval comes back, and then we show it again to the artist, and then they say what they like, what they don't like, if this color is off or that color is off, and then go back again, get it redone. And then you have to get templates from the people that you're working with. So for Christopher, we did journals and note cards with a company we hadn't worked with before, and bookmarks and magnets and a poster. So we had to kind of get all the templates from those companies and say this, and then they kind of set it up, and then we send it back to them, and then they came back at one point and said, these are actually the wrong dimensions, so we had to fix it again, and then it had to go back to the artist, and then it has to go back to the directors, and then it gets approved again, and then it goes back out again. So it takes a long time sometimes.
So it sounds like there's a lot of back and forth. What kind of skills do you think you develop being, I guess, that mediator?
I think that comes from stage managing. Just trying to make sure everybody's happy, and sometimes you get frustrated, and that's just normal when you're waiting for things to happen. And when you're excited about things happening, you're like, I just want it to go. But I think it just, you kind of have to learn patience, and you have to learn that this is the way it has to go, and that, be patient with it. And when it's all said and done, beautiful things come, and you're delighted.
Perfect. And what products are the best sellers at the Rooms gift shop, and why do you think they sell better than others?
That is hard to tell. We sell a lot of mugs, and I think people buy mugs with artist work on them because it's something pretty they can have on their desk, and people buy them as gifts. A pencil with the room's logo on it sells really well, and our stuffed animals. We have a natural history exhibit on the 3rd floor, which is all animals from the province, and we have a line of stuffies, is what everybody's calling them now, and they're animals that are in the collection upstairs, and we have 2 sizes, and they're very reasonably priced, and they're really good quality, and a lot of people buy for kids, or kids come in and buy for themselves. And I think they just want to take something home. I think the things that sell the best are the things that remind people of their visit, that they go upstairs and they see something and they say, oh, okay, I saw that upstairs and I'm going to take that home and frame it and put it on the wall or anything like that. So it's hard to kind of pick one thing. Like sometimes it's just one thing that sells. We sell a lot of these little $3 bracelets, but that's something that people are just picking up because they want a little thing to give to somebody, and that has nothing to do with their visit. But those are good sellers because somebody just wants a little thing and they don't want to spend an outrageous amount of money on it.
And so, what do you think are, I guess, kind of like the most popular price points for items that you sell?
I would think it depends on the person, but for the traveler themselves, anywhere under $20 is a good price point. T-shirts, I'd say most people will happily spend $25 on a T-shirt and stuff like that. So I think like an average sale would be anywhere between $25 and $40. I don't think once people start getting into the higher amounts, they're really thinking about it, except for Labrador egg jewelry that people don't even think. They just go, yeah, okay. So it's hard to tell sometimes.
And so when you're selling to different audiences, because you mentioned kids happen to buy things and you mentioned that people tend to buy things for kids, so like how do you know what your age demographic is and how do you sell to different age demographics, I guess?
Well, with the rooms, the age demographic is huge because we do have kids to seniors, and there are programs designed for kids to seniors. So it just means that you have to have a wide range of products that appeal to all ages, and you have to kind of know that the people that are coming in a lot of the time to buy something for a family member, or because we do have a lot of that. So kind of it's hard to judge what the age demographic is. Like it's different from like saying a clothing store that is a specific age range. With a gift store, especially one that's in a museum gift shop, a museum and art gallery and archives, your age demographic is very, very wide, and just trying to figure out who you're buying for is more about who's buying for them for a gift. And you know that there's going to be school kids coming in, so you want to have things that school children are looking for. It's hard. I wish I could say that, yes, I know exactly what our demographic is, but I can't. It's pretty far reaching.
And so you mentioned the art gallery, which I'm guessing is what, the Christopher Pratt?
Yes.
And so the Rooms also has an archive, so do you often work with the archives?
Yeah, we do. We have a couple of, actually we have a new product that's coming out hopefully this week, as soon as I get my citations. And we've developed a line of matted photographs from the archives collection. So this is a new product. We're testing it out to see what people think of it. They're 8x10. They're beautifully matted. They're gorgeous photos selected from the archives. Worked with different archivists to pick which ones, and then they came back with 20, and we narrowed it down to 6. So it's been a challenge, and sometimes you're like, okay, is this the one we should go with? Because you never know. And we also worked with the archives to develop the Beaumont Hamel trench map. So in our collection, in the archives collection, there's a trench map from Beaumont Hamel that was donated to the collection, And we scanned the original, both sides, and reproduced it to the exact size that the trench map is, and it's folded up, and it's exactly that. So it's fascinating to work with the archives, because there's so much, and the museum too, just because of all the history that's there. It's amazing to see these things that, you know, not everyone gets to see. Just because they need to be kept in the vault and in a safe place, so that they don't, you know, degenerate. And then to be able to produce something like the trench map that people can take home with them. It is folded up, but a lot of people unfold it and then frame it. So it's kind of like having your own little piece of history, which is exciting.
Yeah, that's a really nice way to bring it all together, I guess. Take a piece of history home with you.
Yeah.
I was also wondering about marketing. How does the rooms go about, or the gift shop go about marketing the gift shop and I guess the products that are actually in there?
I would say right now that our biggest means of marketing the gift shop itself, not including just like the magazine that comes out to promote it, is probably right now is Facebook. Whenever we have new products come in, we do post new photographs, and that seems to have a huge response, which has been great. We are getting a new website, which is exciting, and not just for the gift shop, but for the rooms. So we're all very excited about that, which will, I think, represent the gift shop a bit more than the one that we currently have. Not that there's anything wrong with it, it's just time for a new one. But Facebook seems to be the thing, and Twitter. Like, social media is the big thing. Like, social media is amazing. Like, you put something on there. I've posted pictures on our Facebook site and have had people come in that afternoon and buy things that they saw. And that's amazing. So it really works. I know people are like, there's sometimes people who are like, oh, I don't know about social media. And it's like, it works. People look at it, people come in because of it.
And so one last quick question. What advice would you give to museums or galleries who want to start a gift shop or who want to improve the one that they have?
I think it's really just important that they really focus on having products that are relative to the exhibits and displays that they have. It is not cheap to produce your own product. That is another challenge. But if you can produce something, even as simple as a card or postcards with your artifacts on it, or make a big difference. I know, like, a lot of people want the keychain and the magnet and all that kind of stuff, which do sell, but it's important for you to have a good balance of that as well. So that's kind of what I would think.
I'm Tara Barrett. You've been listening to Living Heritage, a production of CHMR Radio 93.5 in collaboration with the Intangible Cultural Heritage Office of the Heritage Foundation of Newfoundland and Labrador. Find us online at ichblog.ca or iTunes. Thanks for listening.